Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Captain Frost and today we are gonna be looking at Poison Lightning Strike build on our Assassin. That's a pretty cool, interesting idea. It has pretty good damage. It has 30 million here on pop without any additional checkboxes got here. It's against pinnacle bosses. It has pretty okay survivability, pretty okay effective hit pool. It has some evasion rating, don't really has too much armor as you can see, but it's spell suppress capped. It has some block chance. Yeah, it's all in a pretty good shape. And I thought that it's just a quite interesting build that you don't really see too much. And to be honest, Lightning Strike as a skill, you don't really see it after nerfs too much either on ladder. So yeah, that's gonna be our character. This character is based on existing character level 100 assassin that is taken from the ladder of Crucible League. It doesn't have any Mage Bloods, Headhunters. There are some quite pricey items here, but nothing too special, nothing too crazy that you can't really afford. Yeah, and I guess let's go for the build itself. Yeah, so I'm gonna quickly run down through the talents, then through the main points of talents, jewels, unique jewels, then we'll go through skills, and then we will finish everything with items. So yeah, if I was to just briefly say anything about this build, I would say that it's quite fast. It's probably gonna be quite comfy build as well, but yeah, let's go for the talents, I guess. So we are taking as much life, as much attack speed, as much chaos damage, as much dagger nodes as we can possibly get, more damage multiplier from critical strikes as well. So everything that goes crit and dots are the things that we are interested in. We are taking mana reservation efficiency, of course, as we probably do on any build nowadays. Then we are taking some chaos damage multiplier or poison damage multiplier. We are taking some attack damage leached as life because it will count as our chaos damage as well. It will count everything, any type of damage that we are dealing. So we will have leech, life leech, we will have mana leech, we will have flat recovery, and in our ascendancy talent, in our ascendancy, we do have additional recovery of life per poison affecting enemies you kill as well, so you will have enough sustain for you to feel quite comfortable. Yeah, then we are going for evasion rating, we are going for some spell suppression, of course, like in here. We're taking ghost dance, we are going full into dagger nodes. Yeah, we are using some jewels here. I'm gonna go in them a little bit later. So we are trying to take some projectile pierce. We are taking some additional projectiles as well, especially because it is affected by our timeless jewel in here, so it will provide us additional additional raw power. And that's mostly it. So yeah, build revolves on you just stacking poisons on enemies, being fast as possible. You are melee, you are lightning strike, which means that you're using projectiles. So yeah, chaos damage, chaos multi, poison damage, poison multipliers are all pretty good stats for us. Now, if we are gonna go for our unique jewelry, we do see here timeless jewel, brutal restraint. So it's a Marikath. We see here it's some number, and it's Asenath. So it gives us a bunch of additional just regular stats like we see here on survivalist, and some poison. You inflict deal damage faster and increase damage with poison. So this is why it's so valuable. It gives us some additional critical strike chance as well, but mostly it's the things that are that are used with poisons, and that's what we are here after. Yeah, because especially poisons you inflict deal damage faster is straight up multiplier for our damage. Yeah, we are taking Perfect Agony, by the way, as well. So yeah, now with our Cluster Jewel, we are interested in Chaos damage. We are interested in gaining Unholy Might, which will ramp up our damage quite much, especially on critical strikes. We do have, as you can see here, pretty high crit strike chance. Yeah, then some additional Chaos damage. In our medium jewels, as you can see here, we are taking damage over time or Chaos damage over time jewels. We do do see here Eternal Suffering, which has a chance to inflict Wither on enemies if there are not many Wither stacks on enemy. Then additional damage over time increases, and just duration of ailments on enemies, which is very, very strong, because yeah, it's how you increase duration of your poison mostly. Then we are using Forbidden Flesh. Forbidden Flame allocates Polymath, as you can see here. Yeah, they're both matching. So Polymath is something from the Trickster. It gives us more damage for each different type of mastery we are allocating, so it's straight up pretty big, good damage multiplier. And then it gives us additional life, energy shield, and mana recovery on kill, so it will be just enough with all the life leech, with all the flat life and energy shield and mana recoveries for us to be comfortable here. Then when it comes to our ascendancy, we are going for opportunistic, Mistwalker, so elusive crit strike. Then we are using Noxious Strike and Toxic Delivery, which are your main poison nodes on the ascendancy tree, and they're just a no-brainer for the build like this. Then we are using Watcher's Eye, so we are using Purity of Elements, and here with Purity of Elements we will get additional Chaos Resistance, which is very nice for our defenses, as we want our Chaos Res to be capped. And then we are using here some additional chance to evade attack hits while affected by Grace. And Grace we are using for free with our unique amulet. So yeah, that's mostly it when it comes to our jewels, I guess. So Brutal Restraint, Watcher's Eye, yeah, Forbidden Flesh, Flame and Flesh, and then your cluster jewels and a regular jewel, that is here, which just gives you regular stats, damage, poison, mana cost of skills, attack speed, and very important, Corrupted Blood cannot be inflicted on you. So yeah, that's when it comes to our talents. Now let's go for the skills. With skills we are using Vol Lightning Strike, which is obvious, it's our main skill. Then Vicious Projectiles, it's gonna ramp our chaos damage. Then we are using Multi-Strike for the big attack speed, and yeah, just Multi-Strike, it's obvious I guess in here. Ancestral Call for your AoE, Unbound, and not only for AoE, but like on single target as well. Unbound ailments and deadly ailments for your poisons. Now when it comes to our auras, we are using let's see here, we are using Helmet, Obscurantis. We do have here like Lightning Strike, first additional projectiles. We do have increased projectile attack damage per accuracy rating. So it's, as you can see here, it's nothing too special, but it does have this implicit socketed skill gems get a 90% cost and reservation multiplier. With it, it's a corruption implicit, which will help us use all these auras and still have pretty manageable amount of mana, 146, and our Lightning Strike doesn't really cost too much, and with Enlighten level 3, so it's not even level 4. We are using Purity of Elements for us to have easier elemental resistances gain and elemental ailments immunity. Then we are using Malevolence as our main damage multiplier aura, and Herald of Agony for additional more damage with poisons and stuff like that. Then we are using Virulent Blades with Rage Generation, faster attacks. We are using Vol Blight, so Vol Blight, hindered enemies take 20% increased damage, and this is, and it applies hinder on enemies, so that's basically additional your additional damage multiplier. Then we are using Ancestral Protector for attack speed increases, and Plague Bearer, it's just a no-brainer for any poison user. Then with our other stuff, we are using Vol Haste, only Vol part of it, so it's gonna be again your additional damage increase button. Then we're using Steel Skin as our main defensive skill. Grace is free for us, that's why it's you can place it anywhere where you want. And Blood Rage, so why is Grace free for us? We do have our amulet here, yeah, so it's all surprising. It allocates Vengeance Cascade, obviously, so yeah, that's the hot thing of this league for any projectile build, so your projectiles will come back to you, and that's just very, very good here, especially when you're stuck in poisons. It will be even better. And we see here Grace has no reservation, which is straight up the only thing why we're using all surprising. It is the stat why you want to use this amulet. Yeah, so, and then we are using Blood Rage again for additional attack speed and Frenzy Charge generation. Now we are using, so yeah, as I stated before, the character is based on the live character from the Crucible League, so, and this guy uses Portal with Cast on Death, which, yeah, it's pretty standard for softcore if you have pretty glass cannony build that can get one shot for you to come back easier. Then we are using Mark and Hit with Assassin's Mark. So yeah, these two things should be separated. You don't need to link them because otherwise Cast on Death will be applied to Assassin's Mark maybe. So you need only Assassin's Mark and Hit and Cast on Death with Portal. And now, now we do have some other additional stuff in our as you can see here. So it's Azenath's, maybe it will be easier for me to show you in the PoE Ninja. So yeah, it's curse enemies with temporal chains on hit, curse enemies with despair on hit. And then there are some additional enemies killed near corpses affected by your curses explode, dealing their damage. They are blinded and stuff. So we do have here 2 additional curses. And if you want to know how we are using it without any additional curse, like +1 to curse, we do use Anathema. And Anathema, it doesn't have very good stats other than your curse limit is equal to your maximum power charges and some chance to gain a power charge, but yeah, that's not too interesting for us. So what that means basically, let's go back to the PoE. That means basically that you can apply your mark and simultaneously apply despair and simultaneously apply temporal chains. And temporal chains, as it makes debuffs expire on enemies slower, it is a damage multiplier for any poison build. It is effectively it's a very, very powerful stuff that gives you a bunch of damage if you are using poison build. Despair, it's obvious, it's chaos damage multiplier, and then Mark and Hit with Assassin's Mark gives you additional crit and all the other good stuff. So yeah, it's all, and they all can be on the enemy because we do have our maximum power charge by default. It's not smaller than 3, and if you want to make it more, and as you can see here, if I was to, for example, use frenzy charges, then damage will effectively be even bigger, but it's not so essential here. So yeah, that's how we're avoiding this cap on the curses with our build. Yeah, and probably that's it. So yeah, here's our curses. You're just, even if you don't have despair on hit, we on like as implicit from corruption, you can just use it instead of maybe portal skill, and just either use it manually or use it with some, maybe you don't have Azenaths, then definitely just use it with some auto triggering mechanism, maybe with a brand, with Arcanist brand, or if you want to, you can use it with Hex Touch, with Lightning, with Lightning brand. It doesn't matter, but you need these 2 things to exist. But if you don't have Azenaths, then you don't really have curse limit that high. And probably if you can manage if you can manage to squeeze in some +1 to curses, then probably take temporal chains, as it's just gonna be both defensively and offensively more versatile and powerful for you. So yeah, that's when it comes to our skills. Now let's go for the rest of the items that we are currently looking at. So we have our weapon. A weapon is on base of your heist. Daggers, it's pneumatic dagger. All damage from hits with this weapon can poison. It has some stats, it has some increases to cast damage over time. It has pretty big lightning damage and fire damage. So as you can see here, all damage from hits with this weapon can poison, which means that you just straight up want as much raw damage of any type with this weapon, and it's just gonna work pretty fine. We do have the otherwise here just pretty high baseline critical strike chance and pretty high attack speed as well. Then with our second weapon, we do have Aziri's Reflection, which makes you immune to curses. You are hex reflecting. You do have increased effect of your curses, some elemental resistances, a bunch of evasion rating and energy shield, which both are pretty good stats for us. And yeah, like that's mostly it. But immunity to curses is very, very good. Then with Helmet, we've already saw it has enchant for lightning strike, having additional projectiles. It has all this corrupted stuff. It has a bunch of accuracy, a bunch of evasion rating, a bit of life, and increases to projectile damage per accuracy rating as well. Then with our body armor, it's the Covenant, which makes your skills, which make your lightning strike basically a 7 link with added chaos level 29, which will add up a bunch of flat chaos damage. It has a pretty big number of energy shield, and skills gain a base life cost equal to 100% of base mana cost. With our skill having not that big of a mana cost, this thing wouldn't be a problem for you by any means. Then with gloves, we're using Asenath's Gentle Touch. It is already, as I've said, it's with Despair on hit implicit. It has life, it has some mana. Curse enemies with Temporal Chains on hit. Non-aura curses you inflict are not removed from dying enemies, and all this blasting stuff when enemies are and die nearby corpses of enemies that were cursed by you. Yeah, so that's basically for your AoE clear, and it gives you Temporal Chains on hit, and it gives you Despair on hit if you do have this corruption on it. Then with our boots, we do have regular boots with Onslaught generation, with a bunch of res, life, suppress, spell suppress, and yeah, some just evasion. Amulet, all surprising, already saw that. Anathema, already saw that. It's mostly for our curse limit to be way higher than it could have been. Then we do have a second ring, Circle of Nostalgia. It gives you attributes, chaos damage, increased chaos damage while affected by Herald of Agony, and chaos resistance while affected by Herald of Agony. This way, Herald of Agony just becomes this very, very efficient mana reservation skill. Yeah, that's basically it. With belt, again, regular resistances, life, chaos damage increase, and some flask charge stuff. With one abyssal socket, it's a Stygian Vice base, and on socket we do see here some straight up some bad stats, and yeah, just mostly attack speed, some life, and some additional evasion rating. That's mostly it. With our flasks though, we do use Bottle Faith, which is not cheap by any means, and it gives you just a bunch of crit, it gives you just a bunch of damage. Then we do use Quicksilver flasks with reduced mana cost of skills, which is very good because we want our lightning strike to be as cost efficient as possible, because we don't really have too much mana, but we do have enough mana in order for us to use it. Then we are using Quartz flasks for additional suppressed spell damage and phasing with some increased attack speed. Then Diamond Flask, increased critical strike chance, and Jade Flask with evasion rating mod for our evasion rating to be good. That's mostly it. Thanks for watching, hope you're having a good time. If you want more content like this, then I'm not stopping Path of Exile by any means. I'm gonna cover it further, but it will be paired with some Diablo 4 and some World of Warcraft content probably. So yeah, thanks for watching, hope you're having a good time, goodbye.